Have you ever wondered if your financial advisor is really acting in your best interest or are they just checking boxes? Maybe you've had this gut feeling something's off, but you can't quite put your finger on it. Today, we're talking about the 5 red flags that could mean your advisor isn't the right fit for you and how to protect yourself before it's too late.
Welcome to another edition of Your Retirement Elevated. I'm Walter Storholt alongside, of course, Scott Dugan, and he's the financial advisor that's going to help us walk through some of these questions today. And I don't know, hopefully this isn't shining a light on you, Scott, or it's not like you're looking in the mirror, right? Hopefully you're not committing any of these red flags we're going to be talking about today. I know you aren't.
We're shining the light outward.
There you go. There you go. At other advisors. Yeah. Well, what's the inspiration for this conversation? Have you met with clients throughout the years who kind of maybe had a bad experience with an advisor, and so you're helping point out these kinds of red flags? Is this something that comes up?
Oh, most definitely. And there's a lot of great advisors out there in this space. So don't get me wrong with, today's show, but every so often we get a prospective family that comes in. They've been working with somebody, and as we start to unpack things, they start to realize, wow, we're only getting part of the guidance we thought we were, or maybe we're getting sales advice, sales recommendations, not really financial planning. And because why this matters is your financial advisor should be your guide. They should be helping you navigate taxes, investment, and retirement planning with confidence, but not every advisor is created equally. So ignoring these warning signs can lead to missed opportunities, unnecessary taxes, or even irreversible mistakes with your life savings.
Yeah, we don't want that to occur. We want to be sure that we're working with the right person that's a good fit for us, because a lot of this always comes down to not the best advisor for you. The right question is looking for somebody who's the right fit for your situation. So keep that at the forefront of your mind. We're going to walk you through 5 red flags to be aware of that Scott's kind of identified on the episode today. Certainly not a comprehensive list, Scott, of all the red flags that are out there, but 5 that we thought were pretty important to bring up. And you've identified the first one as the job hopper. What does that look like?
Absolutely. And this comes up actually, we see it when we do research on someone's current advisor. I've actually come across this because we get a lot of inquiries about advisors wanting to work with our firm. And it's always interesting when you pull their record and it looks like, oh, wow, you've bounced around between multiple firms every couple of years. And definitely that could point to instability, personally or professionally. You want someone who's very steady, consistent, and committed, not someone chasing the next big commission or title. A stable financial life starts with a stable advisor. Giving an example, the last advisor that had an inquiry to come in and talk to us is actually referred over to us, and we text back and forth. We connected that way, and I left a message one day. I left a message the second day, and a third day I sent a text to say, hey, is everything okay? And I've never met this person before. And there's a lot of excuses that why they didn't, get back with me. They're super excited about, getting to talk to us. And then it just kind of disappeared. And to find out they actually took a job with another firm, so you just never know. And looking back at his record, 3 firms in 4 years. That's not a great track record. It's kind of like those people say, gosh, you know what? I have had 4 awful roommates in a row. Well, maybe you need to look in the mirror. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's not the roommates. And the kind of same thing with his advisor. He's been hopping around, and that's very difficult when you're trying to guide someone with their life savings.
Yeah, there's a difference between, hey, I started off at the beginning of my career working for this financial firm, and then after 5 or 6 years, I, advanced to this level, and several years later, I've now become an independent advisor, perhaps. Like that's a common career trajectory, right? But
absolutely.
Different than the true hopping. Or one thing I've seen a lot, Scott, is folks who are hopping in and out of the industry. So, they're working not even as a financial advisor for a while. Then all of a sudden they're an advisor again. Then they're out of the industry doing something else for a while, then kind of come back to it. And it's almost like the advising world is a fallback plan for them. And that, to me, could be like a sub red flag of that job.
Absolutely. I was a financial advisor, and then I sold roofing materials. And now I'm back as a financial advisor,
Sure.
sold cars. Yeah, that's not a good sign potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, just that track record. Again, not to say that it can't work, but it's just maybe something to investigate a little bit further and say, well, why is this the case? Well, the next red flag that we have on the docket is the one size fits all plan or planning that can often occur. And it can be attractive to folks, Scott, but there's a reason why it's a red flag in our book.
Oh, definitely. And it's kind of like the plate. Remember the old Play-Doh Fun Factory as a kid? You put the Play-Doh and you squeeze it and just creates the same shape coming out of the little factory. I see that, and my advisors see that all the time. There's big firms out there that have relationships with fund companies. So when I see these, the green statements hit the table, I pretty much know what that person's going to have, because almost everyone gets that. So when the client gets the same recommendation, to me that's a big red flag. Maybe they're only licensed to sell a handful of products, or for certain fund family. Maybe they just don't take the time to understand you and your situation. A real planner builds a strategy around your goals, not their toolbox. If the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And when I started this business, I was called a captive advisor, captive agent. And so everything in my toolbox was from one company. And it didn't take me very long, about a year and a half, to say, you know what? I don't know if I've only got these set of tools, am I really doing the best job for my clients? And that's why I chose to become independent years and years ago, because I want to go out, be independent, work for my clients, and really look at what the universe had to offer when it comes to financial strategies and pick the best and put those together for our clients. So yeah, one size fits all, definitely not something that we do here at Elevator Retirement Group.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like just you mentioned the car salesman as one of the career objectives for somebody else in the industry back in our first red flag. Same kind of idea, right? If you go into a Ford dealership, they're very likely going to be recommending you Fords. That's kind of the one size fits all plan for anybody that comes through the door. Sure, there might be a little flexibility, and you want the truck or the this and that, but you want to go to a place that's going to be able to get truly the best fit vehicle, car, whatever it may be for your situation. So another
Absolutely.
easy parallel there. Red flag number 3 today on the episode is if you're working with somebody who's always in sales mode, that could be a red flag. Why is that the case, Scott? I mean, ultimately, right? You're trying to sell a strategy, a product or something, right, to help with my financial life. So shouldn't you, in a way, be in sales mode? I'm just trying to think of the devil's advocate line of thinking here.
Oh, sure. And if you have to ask yourself, do you only hear from your advisor when they're pitching something new? They have the latest and greatest thing. That's not advice, that's sales. True fiduciary advisors proactively reach out to review your plan, not just sell the next product. So if every call feels like a sales pitch, it might be time to hang up. And again, it's not bad to introduce a new strategy because things change over time. It's our job to make sure that we're on the cutting edge, for our clients. The reason there are quarterly reviews, that's a remnant of stockbrokers, and that's bringing people in every quarter to churn that account. All right. So again, reviews are great. Like in our firm, we have a client service calendar that's built out for our internal advisors and staff. We know all the things we need to provide for our clients, whether it's involving income planning, investment management, tax planning, tax preparation, healthcare planning, long-term care, and estate planning. We rotate through those areas and we do reviews of our clients' plans, whether they're sitting across from us or not. So when we reach out, say, hey, it's time for review, and the client says, hey, we're good. We're still sitting down and reviewing that plan, even though they're not sitting there. We just need to make sure that there's a very good process to make sure we take care of our clients and we fulfill all the promises that we've made them, not pitch them a product every time we talk to them.
Is your retirement strategy working as hard as you are? Get the answers you deserve with Elevated Retirement Group's information-packed toolkit. Inside, you'll get Scott's book, Exceptional Retirement, along with essential insights covering the 5 key areas of retirement planning, strategies to keep more of your hard-earned money, and how to choose your winning retirement team. Take control of your retirement today. Click the link in today's show description to claim your toolkit at no cost to you.
It's a great point. There's a balance to everything in life, right? And yeah, sometimes sales mode might be considered because, hey, that's what you've got to talk about, new products, new opportunities, but it shouldn't be 100% of the time. That's the red flag part of it.
Correct.
Red flag number 4, if the advisor is doing little to no information gathering, this should be a big red flag as well. If they just hop into sales mode, I guess, Scott, right? Without any real big questions about you and your life and what's important to you, that would be kind of a combo red flag with this one.
Oh, definitely. And it's, I'll tell you, now that, the internet, especially on YouTube, which we'll probably maybe talk a little bit about at the end here, kind of a bonus round. But if there's a lot of companies out there marketing, doing a free financial review or discovery session. And I know for a fact that they give the same pitch and the same recommendations time after time after time after time. And so they're about volume. And they're not looking to generate a custom design plan for everyone. They're trying to get as many people to adopt their cookie cutter plan as possible because they're trying to scale and they're all about sales and about production. So if your advisor doesn't ask you about your income goals, your tax situation, your retirement vision, looking at your tax return, doing a review before recommending a plan, I would tell you to run, not walk away, because cookie cutter plans rarely lead to lasting success. And you definitely deserve a plan that's engineered for your life, not copied from someone else's.
Yeah, you can start to see how all of these roll in together as well. I would imagine, you're going to see these layer on top of one another. If you go to an advisor who's doing one size fits all kind of plans, it might be an advisor who's been a job hopper and thus they don't have the depth of the knowledge maybe that somebody who's spent a career in the industry has. It might also then be a person who's not asking about you very much because they're just in sales mode because they're only giving you a one size fits all plan. So you can start to see how if one of these red flags pops up, maybe not the end of the world, but likely if one of these exists, you're going to see more of them pop up as well. And the more red flags, Scott, I would imagine the more we need to pay attention, or the more we need to run the other way, right?
Yeah, and there's we love going to Mexico. We love going to Cabo, one of our favorite places. And you always look out on that beach, and if the red flag is out, you do not want to go in that water. That's right. The sign. And unfortunately, they don't put a red flag in the ground for you to see. But again, these are things that when you're talking to someone, a potential advisor that starts, or you're working with someone now and something just doesn't feel right, I think you should definitely trust your instincts and maybe seek advice elsewhere.
We've got one more red flag to get to. We'll do that in just a moment, but just a quick reminder that if you have not gone through a proper financial planning process, if you've never really sat down with somebody like Scott and his great team at Elevated Retirement Group and really put together a financial plan in writing that's going to get you to and through retirement and uncover all of the stones and make sure that you're looking under every possible opportunity for your financial future to how to maximize your future, take that opportunity today. We've got a link in the description of today's show where you can book a complimentary call with Scott's team. Discover if you're a great fit to work with one another. You can meet with an experienced advisor that way. It's very easy to book it. Again, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast app, just click that link in the description, schedule a time to chat, see if you're a good fit to work with one another. And you'll see if you see any of these red flags or not when you talk to Scott and his team. Highly doubt that you will. Radio silence is our fifth and final red flag for today's episode. This is just where like a non-communicative partner in your financial plan. Is that right?
And so if you never hear from your advisor, how do you know they're staying on top of your needs? And we believe in regular check-ins, our strategic planning meetings, which are reviews, and ongoing communication are keys to long-term success. Again, your advisor shouldn't disappear once the ink dries on the paperwork. And I would add a little bit to this. That radio silence after someone comes on. I got two examples that we've seen just in the last few months. A new prospective family came to one of our classes and said, you know what, I'm okay with the advisor, the investments we're dealing with, but we specifically went to them to do tax planning because we went to a workshop, they talked about tax planning. And once they came in, once they did the income and investment plan, they never went to the next step, which was the tax piece. They said, I've waited 1.5 years for them to do tax planning. And I've asked every time we get in there because I'm tired of waiting. So the radio silence thing, they weren't silent. They would talk to them, but every time they would say, "Hey, what about the tax plan?" And say, "You know what? You're okay. We'll get to that."
Some avoidance.
Yeah, avoidance, because when you use tax planning as a marketing gimmick and not an actual planning strategy, that goes on a lot. And I get all these invitations. If you noticed, I've got gray hair. So my wife and I are starting to get all these dinner seminar invitations and all the stuff that's going around. And all of them have something about tax planning. And I know for a fact that a large majority of them don't do real tax planning. Putting money in a Roth IRA, that's not tax planning. If they're not proactively looking at your 1040, running an analysis and have the tools to look through that and find opportunities and landmines that are there, that's not tax planning. So again, you want to have an advisor that's proactive, not reactive to your situation.
That's a great point, Scott. That's one's really stands out to me because the marketing piece is like a little bonus here, right? You'll find that to be the case in a lot of things in life. There's a marketing element to get you through the door. And then the thing that brought you through the door, they don't actually really do or cover or worry about. They just wanted to get you through the door. And then they're going to kind of get you into where they want to really push you and really have you fit into their ideal situation, and hoping that you've just forgotten about the thing that actually brought you through the door in the first place. Yeah. So it's an old trick.
It is. And in our final, I guess we call this number 6. It won't be on the screen.
Little bonus, yeah.
But I have noticed a trend, especially on YouTube. We've been on YouTube for over a year and a half. And as of the last couple of weeks, I've seen a lot of what I call clickbaity titles to really drive. And Roth IRAs, Roth or RMDs are a big one right now. And they're saying, they're not a big deal for anybody. And so that they get a ton of views on those. You should never do Roth conversions. And so they'll say, once you see this, you'll never, ever want to do it again. So there's really sensational things.
Yeah. A lot of extremes.
But then you look at some of these advisors that are doing this, they've got a great following, but they work out of their house. They're like one person. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But if I've got $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, do I really want one individual that works out of a spare bedroom managing my wealth? And so I think that's a red flag. If there's not a team of people to do it, because if I was on my own and I had maybe one staff member, I could not do the level of planning that we do, because we have a tax CPA division that does tax planning, tax preparation. They double check and work with our financial planners to make sure that the tax planning and tax prep is done. We have an estate planning attorney that's right here in our office, so we coordinate with that. We've got an investment committee. We've got a back office investment team that works on everything. Again, I could never do all these things on my own. It takes a team of people to do that. So I think you really have to say a red flag, not saying that a person that works out of their house as a one-person band is not a good advisor. I just have to think, well, what happens if something happens to them? Or what if they go on vacation? What then? So to me, that's a red flag. And again, the families, we're very fortunate. Most people that gravitate towards us, have saved at least $1 million for retirement. And they understand the value of working with a team and a lot of set of eyes working on that plan and keeping it up to date. And again, and being proactive and making sure that everything is in order. Like I say, that's what we're doing right now at the end of the year. We're doing final year in tax planning. That involves CPA, our advisors, the whole team, to make sure let's get everything done before the end of the year and to maximize that 1040 and make sure that our clients are keeping as much money in their pocket as possible.
It's all great points, Scott. Appreciate you sharing these 5 plus a bonus, red flags with us. And you're absolutely right. When you're talking about your life savings, how you're planning for the future, how you're going to get through 10, 20, 30 or more years of unemployment that we affectionately call retirement, you've got to make good choices. And you've got to work with somebody who is doing true planning, not committing some of these red flags that are going to lead to subpar plans in most cases. If this is what you're being subjected to, if this is the level of planning that's happening, you're leaving a lot on the table, and you haven't worked your whole life and accumulated your wealth for that to be the case. So pick up the phone, give Scott and his team a call. Contact information is in the description of today's show, along with that link where you can conveniently just book a time to talk with Scott and his team to see if you're a good fit to work with one another, review your plan, and then you can take next steps from there. There's no cost to do that for that initial conversation. Again, it's linked in the description of today's show. Just go check that out. Have that conversation. Work with a true team. They have a real life office, since you mentioned it, Scott, right? You guys are based out of the Kansas City area. You've got a big office there with lots of people working and helping put these plans together. So a lot of real human beings in the United States helping and working with you each and every day. So
and in Utah as well. So we've got two headquarters basically in those spots, and advisors in different parts of the country. So we definitely have a deep bench for sure to draw upon.
Yep, that's fantastic. Well, thank you, Scott. Appreciate your help today. And thanks, everybody, for watching and listening to today's episode. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like today's video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future episodes and get alerts when new ones are released. And also share this video with anybody who you think might find it helpful if they might be working with an advisor who's exhibiting some red flags. We'd love to hear from you, so feel free to leave comments and get in touch if you have any questions. Until next time, we'll see you again on your Retirement Elevated.
Are you on the path to retirement but feel uncertain about your direction? Don't let myths and misconceptions cloud your journey. Before stepping into a lengthy retirement, gain clarity and confidence with a complimentary financial review. Schedule a conversation with Scott Dugan. It's completely free. Just click the link in the description below or call us at 913-393-4724. Let's start a conversation about what's most important to you as you plan for a successful retirement.
This podcast has been prepared for educational and marketing purposes only. The information in this video is general in nature, does not constitute personalized investment advice, and does not provide a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. All investments involve risk, and different types of investments involve varying degrees of risk. There can be no assurance that any specific investment strategy will be profitable or suitable to you. Additionally, although information presented in this podcast is believed to be factual and up to date, we do not guarantee its accuracy. You should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation and should consult a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies mentioned in this video. Investment advisory services are offered through Elevated Capital Advisors LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor affiliated with Elevated Retirement Group LLC. Registration as an investment advisor does not constitute an endorsement of Elevated Capital Advisors LLC by securities regulators, nor does it indicate that the firm has attained a particular level of skill or ability. Insurance advice and products may be offered by a third-party insurance producer, which may be affiliated with Elevated Retirement Group LLC and Elevated Capital Advisors LLC. Walter Storholt, Mark Killian, and Third Wheel Media LLC are not clients of Elevated Capital Advisors. They receive cash compensation for their assistance in preparing and hosting this podcast, and for providing the endorsement contained in this podcast. Because Walter, Mark, and Third Wheel Media are compensated in connection with this podcast, they have a material conflict of interest in providing their endorsement.